Welcome back to another episode of the Bees and Honey podcast. Today we'll be speaking with Swiss artist Anthony Bannwart, who's working out of his studio in Berlin today. You can find this recording also on the YouTube channel at Nicolette Ramirez. The Bees and Honey podcast is there as well, so you can see him in person and really enjoy it in both formats. Have a great week. Okay, so here we are today with Anthony Bannwart. Please let me know if I'm saying your name right.
You did. Thank you very much. Hi.
Good.
Hi, Nicolette.
And thanks for having the patience to wait for me because I had to figure out all these different moving parts, these technological things, and on your side as well.
No, yeah, it's all good. All good. It's good to be there finally on this podcast. Thank you very much for receiving me.
And I know you had an idea about doing some sort of performance, and we're not going to do it, but can you explain what it is you were going to work on or what you could have performed from your studio?
Yeah, so basically I'm working on different kind of paintings here in Berlin right now, but I've done this process in Switzerland as well and in different places. Basically, there's a new process that I experimented a few years ago, and it's called ecstasis and after ecstasis. Basically, it is a bed, a steel, metal bed, black acrylic with a lot of water in there, like 1 centimeter of water, and then I drop the pigment. It's a performative, evolutive installation. If you see, if I can say it like this, it's going to turn into a painting after a while. There is a bit of a process because the process is mainly a dedication to water and the movement and the natural atmospheric conditions. And the water is evaporating, and then the pigments are basically falling onto the surface. And after a while, I'm adding more pigments and maybe more water, and I'm doing that process a few times. And after a while, I'm satisfied with the process, and I'm fixing all the pigments, and then I'm fixing it for becoming a painting. But the whole process is a very long performative installation. So people can see me, and depending of the music, depending of the movement in the room, maybe the wind, maybe the movement I produce, like waves, the whole paintings evolve. And this is one of the things I wanted to show you. Here I am going to work on two special 1 meter by 1 meter each. So it's basically 2 meters by 1 meter at the end. It's going to be a diptych. And yeah, I'm looking forward for starting this work on Monday. Let's see what it comes. Maybe I'll show you something next time.
Yes, or it might be a good episode in general to do in person, because then you could have the camera much closer and direct on the actual process. But
yes.
where's your studio in Berlin?
It's an area called Prenzlauer Berg.
Yeah.
It's an area that is kind of quiet, I would say safe nowadays. It's not far from the Mall Park, a very historical part of Berlin. And to be honest, it's a very big contrast because the rest of the time I'm spending it on the mountain or on the sea, or lake or sea. I'm sailing, or I'm in the mountains in my studio there. So this is a very strange surrounding because it's a very urban, very historical, gray, and it's like but it's interesting, it's the contrast is very interesting.
Well, how much time do you spend in both places? Is it pretty much 50-50 between Geneva and Berlin?
I would say it's it's 3 seasons, like 3 seasons. There is the water season, there is a mountain season, and there is the urban season. To be honest, it's divided. A year is divided in 3 parts.
Yeah. That sounds pretty reasonable and actually quite healthy. So, I mean, now that we mentioned that, I'm not going to go in the direction that I was going before. But tell me about the work that you do with sailing and with water. I know there's one project that you had. Anyway, I can't find it now because I've gone Black Sail, that project.
Oh, the black sail.
Yeah.
Yes. The black sail. This is a work that yes, you're coming back to this work in the other way around, but it's a work that is all about my impression of sailing by night and the kind of reflection of the city landscapes, everything that the wandering in the city by night without the lights that I try to reproduce onto a black sail. If you look at a sail nowadays, they are made of carbon. They are very, very different than the sails we used to have, white and, like a white canvas and not always the best quality. And nowadays they're almost very dark. You can have white, but there is so intricate and very beautiful sort of structure and pattern. And I realized that, and I thought while sailing by night and passing by a city, once I just realized it was like just so beautiful, this connection, and I love that urban and sailing or urban and mountain, and so there is always a connection with that. And I decided to draw onto a cardboard, a black acrylic cardboard, honeycomb sort of thick one. I decided to draw with the pen and a pencil and adding some oil painting or acrylic and different oil painting. You have different nuances, like shades of black, different shades of black, and the black pen becomes a little bit grayish and the black ball pen becomes a little bit magenta. So all is black, but basically because of the reaction of the black on black, it becomes a lot of structural different things, and you see shadows and the maze or different things. So people realize this is a 2 meter. We're talking about more than 2.30 meters, height of 1.20 meters, large triangle.
And what's the Waves Art Initiative? Because I have that in my question here as well.
Yes, the Waves Art Initiative. So this started because as an artist, I suddenly realized, okay, that's all good. I'm working with subject that that please me, and I'm very trying to do authentic project close to my life. But suddenly I decided to, looking at the sea and the state of the sea and oceans, I decided once I read Virginia Woolf or Joseph Conrad, Nostromo, The Waves by Virginia Woolf, different readings and different text on the sea written by poets and other paintings by very famous painters or less famous painters, and they're all inspired by the sea. But what do we give back as an artist? We at some point, what do we do? The art world is filled with the transport of artworks, with different. We protect the artworks with very lots of plastic. We just don't care. To be honest, we just take the inspiration from the sea. Well, we don't give back. So my proposal was here to do an exhibition. With different artists, some friends of mine, some collectors, to have beautiful artworks, sometimes for sale, yes, sometimes not for sale, but just to participate. And the proceeds of some of the sales are going to a foundation that, with a group of people, we decide to give to a foundation that do very well over a year, more than a year. We give these proceeds back a certain, we do an exhibition like every year. Whether it's in Switzerland or maybe somewhere else. We could do that in New York. Why not?
Yeah.
And then the point is to do that and to really all gather around the theme of the sea and to try to find out what is the text of this year that inspired a group of artists, and putting a few works together and then just basically giving back to the sea what we took.
Oh, I think that's a really good idea. And I mean, it puts me in mind of some other collectors, like this actor, Leonardo DiCaprio. He has something similar that he does in the south of France with art, a benefit, I think, like once a year, and it's for the sea as well. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, maybe you should get in touch with him. I think he's a great collector, actually.
Yes, okay, I'll call him next.
Or, what, the world is really quite small. At some point, you might just run into him.
Nice. Thank you for reminding me this.
Yes,
it's a good lead.
It's a good lead. And then there's some other things related to the sea. I think you were doing some project with food and the sea, or maybe I got that wrong. But there was
No, no,
something.
no. Yeah, there's the food project. So this every time I'm trying, I'm interdisciplinary, and I always want to learn from a different domain and disciplines. And like suddenly I was attached because when I was young, I was not very good at math, but I was very good at geometrical things and the proportions and calculating things. And I suddenly realized the Fibonacci sequence was very interesting. And we usually in the art world, the sacred geometry is always taken as esoteric, but I realized there was like a connection with the food. And if you look at the sequence of Fibonacci and the food and the gastronomy is very present. And some people in the finance, they use the Fibonacci sequence in different things, but artists used to play with these proportions, and they're very interesting proportions. So I decided to do an artwork based on these proportions, based on these numbers. It's a series of numbers that start with wait a second. I have to. It's a 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 55, 100. You always add the two last numbers, and basically you get the next one. And so that helped me to define the right proportions of this plate. And I started to do a sort of a bridging food, mathematics, and artworks, so contemporary artworks and contemporary plate that has a volume. And I have this work just there. If you allow me just 1 second, I'll bring it. Just 1 second.
Okay, and I will check my questions as well.
So you see me there?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the plate. This is my plate. This was, if you can see it, it has a very strange sort of shape and volume inside. So this is a plate where chef have a challenge. It's to challenge the chef and to explain to them, let's look at the mathematics inside the food and the Fibonacci sequence inside. Like, for example, the asparagus or escargot or pineapple, they are very visible. They have this structure. There is this the spiral of Fibonacci, as we call it, the sequence of Fibonacci. But mine is all hidden, all the numbers with the reduction of the ceramic or the porcelain is all calculated with these 13 centimeters. Here's like 5 or 8 here. There is different volumes, different heights, different things. Everything is calculated. And basically the chef, together I go with my plate, for example, to a restaurant and we start to project a new menu or to project a new meal for a day or for an event or maybe for a season onto this plate. And now I developed a whole series for a new edition with a bowl with different size of this plate. And I even did a ring in silver because I was trained as a jewelry maker back in the days, and a piece of earrings with a special double plate earrings. Here you can see.
Yes.
So that's the double earring, and then you have 2 single ones. So you have a pair of earrings you can wear either single or doubled. Because I was trained as a jewelry maker when I was younger, so I decided to develop this project not just as an artwork, but as a very disciplinary project where mathematics, food, you can have this plate on because we had years of COVID, the restaurants were
closed,
dead and flat, and then I decided to do something with my plate. So I reduced the plate, I made it in silver, and I started my jewelry line. So that's how it's all started. And now the state of this project is ongoing, and we'll see how if I can come to New York and do that further.
Okay, sounds good. I mean, that jewelry stuff reminds me also of the project you did with coins and money and stuff like that. Do you want to talk a little bit about that project?
The Ars Pecuniae is this coin project. It's all about family roots, and in Switzerland it sounds very very cliche, but we are attached to the marking of time and to timekeeping and timekeepers, and some people are very attached to the mechanical side of these timekeepers. And of course, I developed over the years a more poetic approach of timekeeping, and a way of living my life, but also to try to also bring that to other people. So I have two artworks. One is all about this time, and the other one, sounds also Swiss, but we have some banks, and we have nowadays it's very actual. We have a bank situation in Switzerland that is quite prominent. It's like a very big trouble. Mm-hmm. And we had the crypto last year, and some currency problems over the world. Mm-hmm. You have some in your country, and it's a very worldwide problem. What's going on in different continents, and how is the world turning with these currencies, and who has the power or not? And then we just realized that I wanted to give a little bit of my own approach of it, of course, and I started to do my own coins in bronze, and now I'm going to do one in silver, and the next step is in gold. So I'll have three different coins. You have to know that on one side of these coins, it's not just a coin. There is another spiral. It's a spiral of Archimedes. It's a double spiral of Archimedes, where, in fact, if you could play a record player onto the coin, you could listen to the sound of the coin, basically, or the sound of bronze and the sound of silver, or the brown sound of gold, basically. Yeah. So one side is about the persona and the artist, ego, and myself. So I am just playing also with the ego of the artist, and yes, how we play as artists the game of the exchange with a collector, and how much value you give to your work, and what's the value of this coin, if it's an artwork, or if it's an artwork, or is it just a currency, or is it just a piece of silver that you could melt, or a piece of bronze. So it's always about that. This is a very important aspect for me. So that's why I worked with bronze anyway, and I worked with silver, as you understood. And now the next step in the future, I will do one or two in gold. But this is silver and bronze are very beautiful metals. I love to work with, and I think it's a beautiful project. I can't wait to continue it.
And what about, you worked on some leather as well on that map making project? You were working on that when we met, I believe. How was that?
Yes. Yes. So there is something, all these conceptual artworks are projects, like you say, they're very rooted with different approach and everything. I needed to work with wood and leather. For me, these two materials are sometimes like maybe a songwriter. Sometimes you start with the music. Sometimes you start with the title. Sometimes with a sentence, and you put the music after. Sometimes it's like that with me. Sometimes I work with a concept and I find the materials. Sometimes it's the materials that comes first, and then I want to add something and sense to it. And the wood and the leather were part of my being. So since a very long time, I'm surrounded by leather and wood since my youth. So basically, I have these materials, and I thought it was like a morphing of a map coming into on my skin, and basically these skins are the support of different plants, mapping, Vesica pescis, tree of life. I decided to print them, to draw on them, to paint on these leather, and then to mix them with either bronze, either steel, other wood, and these are artworks that I do. They are connected with maybe something a little bit more spiritual. I don't know. There is something about the mapping the geography probably relates to different things about space, time, and this one is about space. Yes. Yeah. So yes, this is a project that is like all the other ones that are developing over time, and they are very evolutive. So each time there is a new step. I did the maps of Budapest, of Hanoi, of my hometown, of cities that I visited or lived or had a residency in, and then different plans of cities, of airports, of symbolical of figures, like you said, like the Tree of Life and I mix them. I do a composition, print them on, or draw them, or paint on leather, and I fix them on the wall. So as an artwork. So these are another part of me. I'm very I have different families. I'm not schizophrenic. I'm just different families that I love to work and take space from it, and then I go to the other family and I develop them for a while and I live with them and I immerse myself. I develop them and then I go to the next one.
And what about the project you worked on, Projection of the World After Buckminster Fuller? How did that project work out? Can you describe it?
Yes. Buckminster Fuller, a great person from your country. It's an amazing figure in art. It's very inspiring figure. I did a few tributes and homage to interdisciplinary people that had nothing to do maybe with art, but had to do something with science that brought a lot to art, maybe something with a philosophy or psychiatry that brought a lot to art, or like Rorschach or different Cyrulnik, like with resilience. And Buckminster Fuller did a lot of things that inspired me, especially the projection of the world that he did. And I think just Jones or Rauschenberg did also work on him. I don't know which one of them. I think it's Jasper Jones, but I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm very.
No, it's okay.
Bad.
It's all right.
I just like the projection of the world. Buckminster Fuller is very interesting. Basically, it's an atlas. It's like a geode, an atlas with different facets, and it's an atlas brought flat. And I took this shape. I kind of erased the continents and the shape of the countries and the all the islands and everything, and I used just this shape that is very particular. I used it. I fold it again a little bit. I created this in forex and bronze and different materials in granite. This is to play with the world as you would turn off lights, or I don't know. It's about geography, to be honest, and to be honest, it's like traveling by night or over some. It's an obscure artwork actually, but it's actually very pragmatic. It's a project where this artwork it's a simple, very simple form, but everybody should know what it is. This form, it's a projection by Buckminster Fuller, but it becomes an artwork. So it's a diverted object. Yeah. It's yes, I think it has a very valuable aspect. You don't know where you are, but if you know the projection by Buckminster Fuller, you actually know where the continents are, and it produces a sort of simplicity about this earth and looking at this earth from another point of view.
Yes.
That's what I like. And I like this projection because it shows also the countries in a different... the Europe is very tiny. It's not like all the other projection we are used to have in Europe. The continents are exposed in the best, to be honest. Yes, and then the Switzerland is not in the center of the world, like other projection we have here sometimes, or Europe.
So what are you working on right now in your studio in Berlin or in Switzerland? What are you working on currently?
Well, well, like you understood. I'm all these families of projects are ongoing. Some of them have to lay down for a bit, depending the production, depending the financial aspect of it sometimes. But I'm always researching, trying to develop one aspect of each of them. Right now, I'm working on this series of extas for Berlin to present them here because I never showed here in Berlin really this process of painting. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping that to have people coming to visit me here at the studio, and also I'm working on new materials, also different paintings, different aspect of it's also for me an introspection here. I have to say it's a very paradoxal. People from the city would go to the mountain to find themselves again. I'm doing the country. I'm very happy on the boat or in the mountains, but I'm coming to the city to find here maybe a sort of a different energy.
Yes.
I'm doing my best, and I'm not mixing up so far because I'm on my own, and I love to meet people in a very, very specific moments.
Yes.
I'm not the rest of the time I'm by myself and with my work and looking at it and looking at what are the next steps.
Yes. Well, what are the next steps? Like, are you planning to show anywhere soon, or where can people see your work next?
Oh, in Berlin, I don't have really any dates right now. I'm just definitely, I've been here 2 weeks in January. I am here since 2 weeks now. I've been here last year for a bit of time. I developed maybe more than a dozen of artworks. Some of them are very ready to be presented in a gallery. So I'm trying to build a body of work that is actually ready for exhibition, and I'm looking for the right people now here. Now I found 2 places. I can't tell right now the date and the real places. The other thing I'm developing is the series of plates, the new edition of plates, the taking care of the jury, taking care of different aspects of the bronze production, and all that from Berlin, because I have to continue. But it's a continuous thing. Some things are sleeping, some things are alive, and yes, and I'm looking forward to show them. I can't wait to come back to New York, to be honest.
Yeah, when were you here last? I can't remember. I know you mentioned it a while back, but I can't remember what you said.
I think I was there quite a while ago. I think it's a few years already. It was definitely 2015 or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
And I think it was not possible just after. I was very busy with different things, and the COVID happened. Then now things are starting again to be quite interesting, I would say. And the connection with the US and this, we'll see what comes out. But I think with the food and the different aspects of sailing, there's enough subject to treat about.
No, I think there's enough, and we'll have a conversation about that after this call. I mean, thank you for making the time to speak to us today.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it was lovely.
I'm very happy we managed it with all the time springing forward. I know I was thinking to myself when we had the time discussion earlier, oh my God, he's Swiss. He's not going to appreciate it if I am 30 minutes late for the call.
I know. I don't have washers on my wrist, so I'm fine. I'm happy. Time is one thing that we should be kind of feeling good when the right moment is, and then it's the right moment.
Yeah, well, normally I'm on time, but sometimes recently I just realized like I'm just double, tripled, quadruple booked, and even myself, I don't have time for myself. But anyways,
all good. There was a change of time this night, last night. So. Also.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, we'll talk.
Now shift.
Well, it happened last week, but I'm still adjusting. I'm still adjusting to this whole thing. Anyways, it's a very primitive system we have here in America. You know, you guys have meters, we have feet. You guys have centimeters, we have inches. It's all it's a bit weird. Anyways, so we'll talk soon.
Okay. Yes, respect. Thank you, Nicolette, and all good for you. I can't wait to see and follow the other podcasts you've done so far. I've seen, I've read, seen twice a few things from you, and well done. I congratulate you, and I can't wait to follow you up.
Okay, cool. We'll talk again. I'll send you a message when I'm done. I hope you enjoyed this episode with Anthony. Please keep in touch. You can find me on YouTube as well under @Nicolette Ramirez, or you can search Bees and Honey Podcast and you'll find it on YouTube. Thanks and have a great week.